Hi, this is Jenny Oya with Nuggets and Things. Today we just want to be able to share about what happens when you're trying to talk to someone in a language in which they don't understand. Unfortunately, so many times when we're talking to someone, because you understand what you're saying, you expect them to also be able to understand what you're saying. And when they don't, you talk about frustrations. Oh my gracious. We become frustrated with someone who's not articulating our language. There's a language barrier, right? Well, I want to talk today a little bit about another thing that's happening in our world today that I think we overlook so many times. I'm talking to many people, sometimes on a daily basis, about something that's happening today that it's more than an epidemic almost. The high rise of stress. Stress we know is on a high rise. Anxiety. It doesn't take much, right? To get us to a place where we start to wonder and think that maybe, we can't do this or we can't do that. Whatever it may be. But there's also something else that's happening that a lot of times people are not taking into account of. And I am one who try to make people aware to be more patient with those who are struggling with things internally. And I fight all the time to always make sure I am trying to heal internally first. Because so many times we are so caught up in our outer appearance, how we project ourselves to others, how we look to others, how people, view us. And sometimes they're viewing us, from our outer appearance and not understanding there's something brewing on the inside. And because of that, we miss so many signs that people are giving out. These lights are blinking. Someone is telling you, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And we're not listening because we're so caught up in ourselves and what we're saying. We're not listening to what they're giving us back. And that makes us sometimes impatient, frustrated, angry, because we're trying to give out information and it's not being received because it's not understood because they're not receiving, right? Okay, so one of the things I like to teach about is, of course, mental health illnesses, the rise of it. Everywhere you go, children, adults, and it doesn't have it doesn't have a base where it says it has to come from this community. It never shows up on this community. You won't find it here. There is no place that it cannot enter into. Rich, poor, highs, lows, single, married, black, white, children, adults. There is nothing that can stop it from entering in. And once it's there, how do we deal with it? How do we react? How do we interact? That's important. I share with people, they talk to me about things that's going on sometimes with children. And because children are my thing, I love children. And they're beginning to talk to me about a child. And the first thing I say is, that sounds like they're not receiving well. And if a person is not receiving well, you can't expect them to give you something that's not there. Um, there has been test after test showing that children who are brought up in a home where there's mental illness or somebody has not even been diagnosed, right? But they exhibit all the behavior of someone who needs to be diagnosed or needs help. It's like someone who is involved with drugs, right? Or somebody who's involved with alcohol. All kinds of addictions are out here. People are involved in a whole lot of things that cause their behavior to be, erratic. Their behavior to, to be negative, unseemly, whatever the word you want to use. And sometimes we begin to attack the person who is displaying this behavior instead of understanding why is this behavior being exhibited. What's happening with that particular person? Why are they going through the phase? Is there some help for them? Um, And I am someone who will try to dig deeper. When people are talking to me, sometimes, especially if I'm interacting with them on a daily basis, whether it's in my work place, whether it's in my community, sometimes even going to the store that I see the same person over and over again. And when I'm speaking to them, just talking about nothing sometimes, but listening to them talk about what it is they want to share, I can pick up that, there's something there. And when you see there's something there, it makes your whole attitude change, because now you're trying to, try to help, or you're trying to compensate where there's something, not being met. You want to compensate that particular area. And I was speaking to a teacher, and they were sharing about a child in their class who was displaying some things. And I said, first question I want to ask is, what about the parents? Um, how are the parents involved? And tell me about the parents, right? And then when they begin to share about the parents, I said, okay, that's your nucleus. That's your center. That's what you're going to base everything on right there. If the parents are having an issue, or the parents are dealing with an issue, whether they have gotten help for it, whether they have acknowledged it, whether they even know that it's a problem, if that is their base, then you can't expect the child to act any different. Because sometimes a child could be highly intelligent. This child can put together so many, things this child is capable of doing, but it's being in a home or an environment that all they see displayed is negativity. All they hear is always telling them what they can't be, and they call them stupid, they call them dumb. They hear everything that's coming into their ear gates, everything they're seeing through their eyes, with their videoing all day long is negative. Then guess what happens to that child? The child who has the ability to climb straight mountains, find themselves in deep valleys, because in their environment, there's no one that's going to help them climb. And every time they start to take steps to get up, they get pulled back down because of the negativity. And it's not intentionally most of the time. It is not an intentional thing to make you feel bad. But if you're dealing with an issue, if you're faced with something, a mental issue, an illness, something that's going on in your life, you don't mean to bring somebody in that, but you do. Anybody who's going to be close to you is going to feel whatever it is. If it's high, we're going to feel the high. If it's low, we're going to feel the low. If it's powerful, we're going to feel that power. If it's this negative stuff coming, we're going to feel that too. Because we're in your setting, and we're going to, feast, feed. We're going to be a part of whatever it is you're going through. So we must always understand that sometimes when you're dealing with a person, before you take that step and begin to say, that person does this negatively, I don't want to be around this person because this person does this. Sometimes we must think about the environment in which that person comes from. I tell teachers all the time, I understand you got a child in your class that is doing something that, you think is totally negative, right? You said, oh, this child is disrupting the whole class. And you're right, they are. They're disrupting the class. Give me a second. They are disrupting the whole class because to them now, they are, administering what they know, what they have been fed, what they have been pushed inside of them, and they are giving it to you. Some of these children getting up early in the morning are not going to a breakfast table and having breakfast. Sometimes these children don't have parents who have time to say good morning, hope you have a good day today. Some of these children, didn't have a bed they slept on last night. Some didn't have a house they were in last night. You don't know where they came from to get to the school. So when they get to the school, they only going to exhibit where they was. And sometimes it wasn't a good place. And what are you going to do about it? Are you going to just look at them and say, "Ah, just go, 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 go," and start dealing with the other children because they're well behaved? You know, and where I work at, I have children. Good gracious, from age of 5 to 17. But normally, I'm normally in the class. I walk into the classroom with the 5 to 9. I walk in that class. When I walk into the class, they bouncing off the walls, and I'll be like, "Come here," and some of them I know by name because they're the ones who's always just active, right? So I call them. I said, "Come here. What are you doing? Sit down somewhere. Get over here. Give me that shirt." Hey, one little girl said, "Come here, girl." I said, "What is going on with your pants?" And I pull her pants up. I said, give me that jacket." And I tie the jacket around her waist. Girl, she's about 5 or 6. And another little girl doing, I said, "Girl, come here. Let me get." and I'm thinking to myself, they're gonna say the next day, "I don't like that lady that works in the office. I don't want her." But when I go into the classroom the next day, they run to me and they give me a hug, and I'm like, I can't believe it, because what are you doing? Sit down over there. Come here. Have a seat. Go to the corner. You go. Why are you doing that? Stop that. Right? But they want to know that somebody cares. Because sometimes kids acting out, children acting out, I hate to call them kids. I don't know why I do it sometimes. Sometimes when our children are acting out, they're looking for some sort of attention. They need that, right? And so we got to do that too. But I'm talking about children because that's my thing. That's my thing. I love me some babies. But we know that children came from somewhere, normally an adult. Some come from other children, but we're talking about adults now. And sometimes within the home, the place, I've met so many of our children that don't have parents in their home. Sometimes it's their grandparents, can be a relative, could be just a stranger that they just met. Sometimes they're in, foster care, adoption. They got other entities that's happening, other things that's going on in their life. And when I begin to look, at the dynamics, right? The dynamics, I'm sorry, and the demographics of our children, I saw that close to half of our children were raised by someone other than their parents. That already, number one, does something to a child. So they don't have the sense of belonging. They don't have that root. They don't have that, they're this egg without, who laid me, who gave birth to me, so that's already taken their ground off, right? And so now that child is mentally dealing with that. Now, they must not show it to everybody, but they will display something to show you that they don't feel as though they belong. I'm going everywhere to come back to, please take time out and understand mental illness is not something that anybody woke up one morning and said, "I want to have a mental illness. I want to have, I want to be schizophrenic. I want to have bipolar. I want to, have whatever, multiple personalities. I want to be, nobody wakes up wanting and desiring this. I want to be a man depressant. Nobody says that, but it happens. Sometimes it happens because it goes down the line. It has been ignored from generation to generation. And finally somebody realizes, this is me. And instead of, saying, okay, let's deal with this. It's been ignored for years, but sometimes you gotta get down and say, you know what? This is my child. This is my sister, my brother. This is my mother, my father. This is my husband, my wife. This is the person I love. And you can't love somebody and know that they have a sickness or a disease or an illness and not be concerned about that. That's not love. Love is, I know where you are. I'm going to meet you right there because I'm not going to leave you. Because I'm going to help you any way I can. And I know sometimes you can't help somebody. And you're right. You may not be the one that can, but somebody might could down the road if it's treatable, if they want to be treated and they want to be, able to comply. But I just want to share with you because it is an address that is given to me all the time. And I'm always sharing the same things. Hey, maybe this is going on. I talk to people, and once I start talking to them, I can about zero in and tell you what it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I understand. The reason why they do is because they don't want to share with you. They don't understand a thing you just said. They got your information, but once it gets inside, it gets scrambled up. They can't contain the information, and it just go running wild. And that's not their fault. That's something they're trying to deal with, and they're too ashamed to tell you, this is what I go through, And so because of that, sometimes we don't get the help we're supposed to get, right? But we're out, and I'm going to different classes. I'm going to different places, different events where they're doing awareness, because I go for domestic violence. I go to those centers because I want to just impact and talk and teach and learn and be able to, bring some light to dark places. I go to where dementia, Alzheimer's, right? I go there because, I had to deal with that. My mother and my auntie and my father had dementia. And I didn't know what it was, but I went to classes. I went to classes because I wanted to know how to be the best I could be for my auntie. Because my auntie, she said, I want you to be my caregiver. I trust you. And she's entrusting me. And I didn't know how to deal with what she was going through. I didn't understand. So I had to go and get information so I could be the best I could for my auntie. I went to those classes. Every Tuesday night, I was sitting there, taking notes, writing down, finding out what it is that they're dealing with. Because I know me as a caregiver, what I'm dealing with. Sometimes I get impatient because I got to repeat the same thing. Auntie, don't forget you got to do this. Auntie got to, But then I'm thinking, if this is what I'm feeling, imagine what they're feeling. And she said to me, she said, I already asked you that, didn't I? I said, yes, ma'am. She says, I'm so sorry. I said, don't you apologize to me, honey. Don't you apologize to me. I said, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Now, I'm getting emotional now because she was my heart. And I love her so. I love her so that I was willing to learn whatever I could learn to help my auntie. Because I wanted her to know what she couldn't remember, I could. What she couldn't do, I would. So I went to those classes so I could be the best I could for my auntie. Not knowing, after she transitioned out, my mother started going through dementia. And then I had to do the same thing, at a different level. But I took the knowledge I learned from my auntie and I used that, right? I used that information to help my mama. Right? Because I didn't know any of that when I was going through my deity. I didn't know. I'm telling you that sometimes your patience with other people going through their illness, their shortcomings, their heartaches, their pains, it's going to help you because you never know. You never know where you're going to be one day. You don't know what condition you're going to be in one day. You hope and you pray that you're going to be all right, but you don't know. So be patient with other people. Be patient with them. I go wherever I can go. Mental illness awareness, dementia, domestic violence, youth protection, sex trafficking, wherever I can go to help somebody, to bring justice, to bring truths, to bring light to, I'm going. Because I want people to fight for me just as hard as I fight for others. That's what we're supposed to do. I pray that you were patient enough to listen. And I hope you absorb some of this information. That you would turn around and say to yourself, What can I do to be a better person for somebody who is struggling? Struggling. They're struggling to comprehend, to be better. And they're getting hit and they get knocked down over and over again, and they're trying to survive some struggles internally, mentally. We got to be there for them. Because one day, we're going to want somebody to be there for us. You know, uh, Side journey. I was at my son's the other day, and I love him so. And I was going around doing something. I think I was disinfecting something, whatever it was. And I looked and I says, he is such a guy. Yeah, all I kept saying, he's such a guy. He's my son. You hear me? He's my treasure. Love him so. And boy, I'm telling you, the world opens up with me and his sun shuts down on me because I'm his world, right? I know it. He loved me. But he's such a guy. And I kept saying it the whole time I was at his home. I kept saying, he's such a guy. He's such a guy. And I get, because he's the only guy I got. You see, he's such a guy. And I love him so. And it helps me have patience because he's such a guy. And when I listen, the things that he has to do, oh, he's so busy. And I listen to him doing things and I'm like, he is such a guy. And I love him so. I had to end it with that because I have to cheer myself up. Because sometimes the cares of this world, the struggles that other people have, unfortunately or fortunately for me, I get those calls. I get those texts. I get those emails. I get those people before me who's saying, help me. This is my struggle. And I got to be there. And somebody said to me, because you were designed to be in that chair, to do exactly what you're doing. And I do it with a smile on my face and not money in my paycheck. Because I love doing what I do. I love sharing and hopefully enlightening others to what we have to deal with every single day. So, somebody that is struggling internally and mentally. You know somebody. Because everybody does. So don't think you don't, because you do. And it could be you. We might be going taboo on, I don't know, whatever. Whatever they think, it doesn't matter. It's what you want to do, what you know. Find something. And then when you find that, you make it great. And you realize, just like you want somebody to be patient with you, find time to be patient with somebody else and love on them, because everybody deserves to be loved. Thank you so much again for your time, your prayers, your moments, and I do pray that you have received something today. Let your light forever shine. Be great, be awesome, and don't stop being you. That's the point. Don't ever stop being you, because you make the world go around. Thank you so much. This is Jenny Oya with Nuggets and Things. Be blessed. Thank you.